Hello and welcome to today's video. So this time we're going to be having a look at the books that I picked up during the month of April and, to be honest, a little bit of the earlier start of May. So good news is, where I live in the UK, we're now out of a national lockdown, and non-essential shops, which includes bookshops, have started to open. Not quite everything's open, and a few shops are on restricted opening hours, but thankfully the majority of shops, including the bookshops, are now back in business, and that's great news because I, for one, have certainly been missing them, and it does make you appreciate when the books are bookshops are shut. Now we're going through the stuff that I have picked up. So this is a really nice handbook. It's a signed one. It's a Booth's Handbook of Cocktails and Mixed Drinks, which is a great little pan. I've had a copy of this in my collection for a long time, but not quite in that good shape. And this one being signed was great. I do love having signed vintage books when they come my way. But a lot of the stuff we picked up, or that I've picked up, has been from the two little halls, one in Plymouth and the hall that I pulled in Honiton, which was particularly good, and then a few little job lots here and there of books that I picked up online. This movie tie-in of Spartacus, published by Panther Books. This was one that I picked up in Plymouth. Really nice, this one. It's not one I've seen before, and yeah, really nice movie tie-in with the cast sort of on the back cover, which I really like as well. There they are. That's just a little list of other film tie-ins that Panther Books published around this time. I think I might have one of those, Pork Chop Hill. An advert for a Panther catalogue, which I've never seen one of those. Catalogue of new titles, that would be nice to see, wouldn't it? But yeah, I'm just going through the first step of the process, which is going through the books. I sort of fan them through to see just if the books have got any debris inside, you know, little bookmarks or tickets, turned over pages, and also if they've got a price inside, such as like the bookseller's price. Yeah, and those are usually in pencil, and if that's the case, I can rub those out. So that's all I'm doing at the moment. So this is your first sort of glimpse at the goodies in detail that I've picked up. Certainly been some good stuff in here, and I've been very pleased with how much I found this month. In fact, the video ended up being super long. Well, this is I got a few odd pelicans and a few odd penguins, which I didn't have in my collection, from a dealer on Instagram. I think he's called Penguin Book Chap, and there was 5 or 6 that I wanted from my lists, which he happened to have in stock. He only charged me a tenner, including the postage, which I thought was excellent. There was nothing particularly rare, but it was good to get a few of the odd ones out of the way. And also come my way like this one. This is a first edition. It's just, you know, a reasonably nice copy of a book that I've already got. So I'll clean this one up. I'll compare it against the one already in my collection, and then I'll keep the best one and obviously sell on the spare. This was from the Penguin Book Chap. He just gave me this one. It's a very scarce early, I think it's 1943, so it's a wartime pelican. It was during that period when Britain was in the Blitz and paper rationing was enforced, so the paper quality is very, very poor. I mean, you can almost see through the pages. This one has actually got a tiny little bit of pencil to rub out. And I was very happy to get it because, once again, on the pelicans, I don't need many, maybe 50 or so, and none of them are particularly rare, probably less than that, in fact. None of them are particularly rare, but I don't really like paying big money for them because it's not really books that I'm going to read. It's almost completing the collection for the sake of having them all, although there are some absolutely great titles in there. And you know, it is predominantly non-fiction, of course, so the historical titles are very, very good on the whole. I decided not to try and put that cover back on. I'm literally going to put that into a little polythene bag so it keeps it all complete, and I just leave it like that for the time being. But it's certainly not worth, you know, big money or anything, is it? Maybe like £1 or something. One of the big things of the books that I picked up in Honiton was they were predominantly, or rather there was a lot of, I wouldn't say all of it, but there was a lot of mid to late 1960s titles in Penguin, which you don't often see. And They were in particularly nice condition. Most of them seemed to be unread. So I picked up what I found of these basically, and they're only £1.52, and the dealer gave me discount anyway, so I don't feel too hard done by. And when I pick up Penguins outside of the first sort of 1,500 in the numbering system, I do try and pick up the best condition ones that I can see, ideally unread. So I haven't got a lot in that range, but what I've got is usually pretty nice condition. Now, as you know, when I go through these little cleaning videos, I do sort of give you a little update on how things are going with the channel, how things are filming. This one's nice, Barry Hines. He was the author of Kestrel for a Knave. This one came out before that. Things have been all right. I've had a week off work, and I'm currently, this is the second day of another week off work, so I've been quite lucky. It all sort of comes at the same time. So it means I've got a chance to get some new videos recorded. The way I'm recording the videos is changing ever so slightly. So since we had our kitchen done, it has meant that where I used to record my videos in like our dining room, that is now much more open because we've got sort of a kitchen diner. We had a wall knocked down. So what that's meant is that when I record videos, I record them in the same room. But if I was to do the audio at the same time, it just is incredibly echoey, and it's really not a lot of fun. So what I've done with this video, I've actually just sat down and I've cleaned the books using my normal sort of process here, and then I've edited the video and then gone back, and now I'm adding in the audio separately in the hope that it all sounds a lot better. So obviously if it does, just let me know. But I think it's miles better than it was. I don't think this is an uncommon way of doing it. A lot of YouTubers do it this way, except in the past I've sort of rambled on and given my commentary on the books literally whilst I've been cleaning them, and that's not quite the case anymore. But since I only did these yesterday afternoon, it's all still very fresh in my mind of what I did, and I can explain the process as we go along. I had a particular job with one book with the most stubborn sticker I think I've ever had to sort of tackle, which we'll see a little bit later on. But in the end, it turned out okay. Not perfect, but it was okay. This is still stage one of the process. This is a typical example of a mid to late 1960s penguin that I picked up in Honiton. So I just work my way through these and rub out the dealer's price sticker or price pencil mark. So I suppose since we last spoke, the biggest news is the demise, sadly, of the Paperback Warrior podcast. So Tom and Eric have been producing this one for almost 2 years. It's certainly over a year and a half it's been going, and it was one that I very much enjoyed listening to each Monday. But Tom himself was an FBI agent, a special agent. He's been doing that for 30 years. He's now, we're about the same age, and he's now come up to retiring from the FBI, and he's going to be, I think, a private investigator, but he's got opportunities all around the world. And that means he just can't keep up a regular podcast with Eric, and Eric himself has got a family, I believe. So sadly, and the demands of coming up with a podcast each week are quite considerable, considering it's very much a review-led show. It means a lot of reading in the downtime, and I guess they just don't have time. I can certainly sympathise with that. I certainly don't have enough time to read what I'd like, and I certainly have my hands full trying to do 3 videos a week. I'm just about managing it with one gaming video on a Friday, generally speaking, and then book videos and a bit of a mixture. There'll be one-off videos, there'll be odd toy-related videos, because I still collect my toys, and I have still going through my Simpsons collection of toys, which is coming to near the end now. And then I have actually decided I'm going to sell my Simpsons toys, because there's no way I'm going to have it out on display at any point, and there's lots of people out there looking for some of the real nice early stuff that I've got. This was a real highlight. I got this from America. This is the American Perma paperback to Ian Fleming's Moonraker. Released over there is Too Hot to Handle, with that really nice cover of the woman getting strangled on the front there. This was an exceptionally nice copy. It's a real collector's piece, this one, and one I was very, very pleased to get. This is the earliest American Fleming first that I've got. I would like to get You Asked for It, which is the American edition, the American version of Casino Royale. But I'd like to find a nice copy of that one before I stumped up the cash. It's a nice little corgi that I picked up in Plymouth, corgi Western. There's a few of those today. If I find the corgis and they are in nice nick, I will pick them up because they're scarce. So as I record this, about a week ago, I put up my video of my collection tour. In fact, it was only 4 or 5 days ago. That's gone down really, really well. And that was another perfect example of a video which I filmed it. I did the audio, but the audio was just rubbish. So I spent the time and re-recorded it. It's come up lovely. Just pausing there. This is a 1950s, very early 60s Penguin plastic reading case. Now, I'm going to do a video on these reading cases because I've got quite a collection of them, but this is a later one. You can see it's covered in like mould and dirt and a bit of mildew. There's dust all over it. So what I'm going to do with that one a bit later on, I'm going to just wash it with some soapy water, and we'll see just how well it comes out. This is one of the 3 investigators books that I picked up in Hollerton. I picked up 5 in a charity shop. They're only 10p each, so I grabbed them all. They're later than the ones that I like to collect, but they are from my original publisher, which is Armada. But these are mid-80s editions, so I've got these ones. I picked them up, but I'm going to sell these on. But I'm going to give them a clean anyway. They also have a little 10p sticker on from the cancer research. Now, these can be either easy as pie or difficult as anything, and thankfully these were the easy as pie version. As you can see, that one came off without any trouble at all, and they were all like that. They just needed a bit of a polish. Great series of 3 investigators. I read them as a kid growing up, and I've got the first sort of original 28 or so that I possibly would have read in like the original covers in paperback. I haven't got any of the hardbacks, but they are out there. I think the series went up to 39 or the early 40s, something like that, and the later ones are the more expensive because they're generally not so available. They were the second sort of covers that I collected, not the originals. They sort of redesigned them. I do remember having some of that design when I was a kid. They've got them inside the covers. There's a bit of a gallery, which is quite nice. So I've been I was talking about the collection video, so that's gone down really well. So I popped that one up on Wednesday, so it was only 4 days ago as I filmed this, and it's had like 1,100 views already, which is much more than is usual for my videos. And generally they don't accurately appear and start getting pushed out by YouTube until a video's about 3 weeks old, and then it starts appearing. It's like that's how long it takes to get indexed in all the various search engines. So if I pop a gaming video out or a how-to guide, it will do very little initially, but then down the line it will suddenly come to life. I noticed this recently. My little handheld that I like, the Ambernic RG351M. I did a video with it playing some PlayStation games. It didn't do a great deal when it first went out, but it's on like 1,500 views now because it's been out about 3 or 4 weeks. So it just takes a little bit of time, and then the video gets a little bit of traction and gets picked up by Google, and then it starts appearing in people's search results. Not sure so much about my shelf tour. I reckon that those views have come from the subscribers initially. That's for certain. And I've been getting great feedback on it, although I'm still not as happy as I would like to be. It wasn't so much of a tour as literally just showing all the shelves, and I would, like to do a different style of bookshelf tour maybe in the future. But I don't think it's something that warrants doing more than once a year. But the collection is constantly evolving and growing and changing, and I get new stuff and I decide to get rid of some stuff. It is an evolving beast, and that's part of the fun. This is another one which is just classic 60s Penguin. Colourful covers, interesting cover designs, 60s authors. They're under the editorial directorship of Tony Godwin at this point, and his era is quite well regarded, and he's certainly responsible for modernising the company after the founder Alan Lane retired. Right, Capricorn 1. So have a look at that sticker on the front. Debenham's Book Bargain Basement. Now the book's from the 70s, and that's probably how long that sticker's been on there since. It was remaindered because you'll see that there's like a cut along the top edge. You see that there? And that's usually a remaindered sign. And the book was got that big bargain sticker on, and I picked it up myself in Honiton in their 50p section in his bargain bin out the front. Now I've got a reasonably large fingernail on my thumb, and in fact it wasn't cut, if you know what I mean. It was enough to sort of scrape the sticker, and initially here you see working my way, going round the outside of the circular sticker, working my way in, it did start to lift off, and I thought, oh, we're going to be alright here. It's not going to be as bad as I thought, but sadly this was not to be, and underneath was some of the most stubborn tape and glue on a sticker that I've ever had to sort of deal with. It really was a tough old one, this. So I've sped this up a little bit because I didn't want this to be a taking a sticker off, a sticker removal video. But this is me just working my way around and taking off as much as I can just with a fingernail, first of all. Now the problem was the actual Capricorn 1 logo is in that gold foil ink on the front, and sadly taking off the sticker is rubbing that gold foil, and there's nothing I could really do about that. But underneath that is a decent cover. So I've grabbed my old Mr. Sheen, trusty Mr. Sheen with furniture polish, and I'm just going to spray my duster. I've got my soft duster there, because I don't initially at least want to spray onto the book because I don't know what damage it might do. Although this has actually got a really quite glossy cover. I've just sprayed it into the duster and I'm dabbing it on to see if that sort of soaks into the sticker itself and eventually will somehow melt the glue. So this book is going to be a multi-stage sticker removal project throughout the video. But there it is at the moment, which is still better than what it was. It's starting to come through, but boy oh boy, that's a tough sticker. Thankfully I was able to pick up a few new Pam paperbacks. I still enjoy looking at my friend Tim's website, ticket.net. That's a Pan specialty website, and Tim's got pictures of virtually every Pan book ever printed up to a certain point. Initially, right from the early days, it was up to the mid to late 60s. He's well past that now, and he's added lots of 70s titles as well. certainly a great reference if you are into Pan books and all those lovely colour covers to see. This is a nice one. You find with books which have got black covers that they're easily marked, and this goes for black annuals, this goes for black comic books. The slightest, fold or chip or crease really shows up on a black coloured item. The Star Wars toy is notorious for it because it's they're black again. But so when I come across a book which has got a pretty much all black cover, and it's in nice condition like this one, you know that that's probably never been read and it's been very carefully stored, and I pick it up. Bit of a big thick pan here, but once again, when you come across these books and they're in this nice, this is much better condition than is usual, so that's why I picked this one up. Back to Capricorn 1. See, I sprayed that polish on and it's almost like the paper has just absorbed it. It has really loosened it. It's just soaked it up. So I give it another little go with my fingernail again, just to see if it has helped it a little bit. And I think each time I try it, just a little bit more comes off. But boy, it's taken some patience, this sticker. So I had heard on the Paperback Warrior, someone had said if you stick a book in the microwave oven, it'll melt the glue that way. So I thought, well, I might as well give it a try, just because the book only costs 50p, so I'm not going to lose any sleep if it gets knackered. So in it's gone, and I only did it for 15 seconds, just enough to heat the book up and hopefully heat the glue up. I thought about doing it for a little bit longer, but I didn't really want to do it much longer than that. I've used this technique to get out rolled spines. It's been fantastic because it's melted the spine glue. But when I put it in for those 15 seconds and then pulled it out again, once again it was just hadn't seemed to have touched that glue. The glue of the sticker, it just seems on solid as anything. So sadly, the old putting the book in the microwave didn't have any effect whatsoever. Bit of a turkey, that one. So back to the tried and trusted methods of plenty of polish. Yet again. Yeah, so back to the YouTubing then. So I've been able, amazingly, to keep up 3 videos a week by doing one gaming video on a Friday, then at least one book video a week, and then something else on another day, like the odd toy video, and that seems to be okay. And at the moment, although it takes a fair bit of time, it's a regime I'm able to sort of keep up to date with, and apparently, YouTube does sort of reward the channel if you post regularly. And I think, nowadays I've come to the stage where the channel's getting to a size where I'm almost expected to put regular content out, and I love doing it, and I'd love for this to be more than just a hobby. But we'll have to wait and see. It needs to grow a bit further than what it's at the moment. But I mean, as I film this right now, I'm on about 9,450 subscribers, give or take, and well on the way to 2 million views on the channel, which isn't bad at all, really, when you think I've only been doing this just over a couple of years. That's pretty great growth, so I'm very happy with that. I'm sure if I just stuck to one subject, I could grow quicker, but I just can't do one thing. I have to make it a variety channel, which YouTube doesn't really reward. If I just did books, I'd probably have 20, 30, 40,000 subscribers, and they're just absorbing the book content. But because I am a bit of a mixture, and I do some tutorials as well, it keeps it interesting for me, and that's sadly the way it's got to be. But hopefully there will be people who came here for the books and then got distracted by something else and actually ended up really enjoying it. If that's the case, then fantastic. So I've got the bulk of the sticker off, but now the surface I'm trying to clean off with a scalpel, which once again I had some success with. But as you can see, look at the debris there. This is from one sticker, but it's starting to come through, but it's still not great. Thankfully the inside of the book and the cover itself was really quite thick, so I was able to keep at it. Now I've got to the stage where I've sprayed directly onto the book, and I'm rubbing the gump and the glue and the residue off with just a thumbnail, and it is starting to work. That method is working. However, as we'll see in a minute, I do actually damage a tiny bit of the cover. There we are, it's just been damaged. I did that with my thumb. So a tiny little bit to the left of his head there did get damaged. I mean, I could always fill it in with blue, but as I said, I use this more as an experiment really, and trying a few different techniques. But apart from that, it's getting better all the time, and we will do a side-by-side comparison and we'll see. But compared to what it was, I think it's a massive improvement. So it's getting there, slowly but surely. So again, I've speeded up the video here just to keep things moving along. There we are. Miles better. In my opinion, that's miles better than what it was. There we are. Look at that. Not perfect, but side by side, I think a bit of an improvement. And for 50p, I thought it was worth the effort, wasn't it? So, A Christmas Carol, the Penguin or King Penguin book. So, this was the next to last one. I just need one for the set of all 76 beautiful King Penguin hardbacks, and it's been an epic journey. This one had been going for really good money online. The first edition was fetching 30, 40 quid. This one here didn't come with a dust wrapper. In the end, one turned up. I had as a saved search. I got it for £10.99, including the postage. I did very well there. Still struggling to find the last one I need, which is British Shells. This is an odd vintage 4-square paperback. Quite a nice one, but not in great condition. But early 4-squares don't really turn up. This is another one I got in Plymouth. I was very pleased to get it. It's the Penguin Modern Classics edition of Lawrence of Arabia. Great book. So yeah, as I said, I'm off for a week now, so I've got a few more videos to film. I'm going to be filming the next part of my pocketbook, or my history of Star Trek in pocket books. They've been going down really well. I'm trying to do one of those each month. So I've done and released the very earliest pocket books, and I'm doing the second batch up to the up to and through the Wrath of Khan titles, right up to almost The Search for Spock. And they've been going down fantastic. This was an unusual sort of digest-sized Carter Dixon crime title. Not really sure about this. He's not. It's not an author I collect, but I'm probably going to end up popping this one onto eBay. I do put a link to my eBay listings down below. I've got a huge pile of stuff. It's all photographed. It's waiting to be listed, so I'll be doing that as well this week. Of stuff that I'll be selling online. What I've had, my stock has been decimated. There's very little left now. It's just been flying out. This one had a very light vintage pencil mark that I was able to get off. There we are. Bit of spine roll on this one. Like a couple of books here, it'd probably benefit from being weighted down for a couple of weeks. Now this was another little treat that I treated myself to. I bought it from the States. So this is the 1950s crime digest Manhunt magazine. Absolutely cracking. Some of the stories in this are fantastic. So Stark House have recently released, well, there's been 3 books, and there's like 2 best of Manhunt magazine, and then they've done like an index to all the issues with reviews of every story and history of the digest itself. Fantastic. This particular this is the very first issue of Manhunt. It's got an incredible lineup. And Mickey Spillane and William Irish. There's Ivan Hunter. Just superb. It ran for quite a long time, so I don't intend to get the full lot, but I did think I'd treat myself to the very first issue. And it's a reasonably nice copy as well. It's probably like 8 out of 10. So once again, this is another one that's going to need to go into a bag. But it wasn't until I picked up the first issue here that I saw that the Manhunt anthologies that they reprinted recently are the same size as these original digests, which is cool. A little look at some of the authors on the back there. Very, very cool magazine. So back to the normal paperbacks now, with some more penguins. Another big thick pan book. And once again, we are still on step 1 of the process, where I'm just going through each book by book, cleaning out any sort of internal imperfections and taking off cover stickers where I find them along the way. Step 2 will be cleaning the top edges with my trusty toothbrush, dusting off all the dust, in effect, that's accumulated over the years. Then the final step will be polishing the front covers where I can on the more recent books, not the penguins, of course, and get them looking as good as possible before I then add them to the collection. All the books will be catalogued in their respective publishers' checklists, so I keep a little Google Drive of each publisher. People have asked me, how do you keep a track of your books? I know there's a few apps out there, but I just like to in a lot of cases have, in the penguins for example, they're all sort of numbered, so I can keep an eye that way. In other publishers I put the numbers down and also the title and author. But thankfully most of the books that I collect, the vintage ones, have, is pre-ISBN, so they have a series number anyway. Just giving that Capricorn one more look at, but the glue on it now, I'm going to see down the line. I might use some lighter fluid, see if that can eat into it, but I have had people say, why don't you use a product called Glue Be Gone? I don't know if you've ever heard of that one, but I believe it's only available in America. So I've not been able to find that one over in the UK, but if anybody knows the UK equivalent of Glue Be Gone, let me know. This was another one that I got from the Penguin chap. It was a later one of the, I don't know, 4 or 5 I needed post 500, but below 1000. So I was pleased to get this one, Between the Acts. Virginia Woolf, a popular author. Had 2 copies of Science News off the Penguin chap, and they were, I believe they both complete my run of Science News. Just the thing to take to bed if you're struggling to get to sleep. I really only collect that because it's like a Penguin related title, but it was one of their handful of periodicals that they published. There's like 40 odd issues of that, and most of them I picked up. At the same time I got a big run of Pelicans given to me, and they were in there, but they were still missing a couple. It's another nice odd corgi western. This one's an upgrade, although, you know, when I got it under the spotlight here, it's not a massive upgrade, but the one that I've got a mint reprint, a really nice reprint, but it's the same cover. This is a first pan edition, and it is better than the pan that I've got in my collection, but it's still not really A1, and on hindsight I sort of regret it because I'm only going to, you know, probably upgrade it again down the line, but it's still nice to have all the same. It's another odd classic which turned up in a small batch of books that I bought. It's one that I haven't got, so don't really actively go out of my way to pick up any of the Penguin classics because it's not something I'm likely to read. You know, if they come my way, I'll pick them up and add them to the collection. So I've got some pretty interesting videos coming up. I've been doing a lot of videos on the Ambernick RG351, little retro handheld, but I've dug out my PlayStation Vita and I've been doing quite a bit on that one, so that's been a lot of fun. So I'll be doing a bit more on that. I've dug out my British Palatoy Pocketeer games, these little plastic puzzles that came out in the mid-70s to about 1980. They're really great fun. They got a lot of character. Released in America as the Tomy Pocket games, so I'm going to be looking at those in a few videos in detail. I've already finished writing the next Star Trek Pocket Books video, and although I haven't filmed, I'm going to film it this week. The actual I've adapted my videos so that they can be a magazine article for Gary Lavisi's Paperback Parade in the States. So he's got a future issue coming out which is a Star Trek special, so he's got a couple of articles in there which I've written on early Star Trek paperbacks, which is quite cool. I did one a few issues back on Agatha Christie in Pan Books, which went down pretty good, I think. Got my first Asterix video about to go out, and then I'm going to be doing, hopefully again this week, my look at the first 3 Tintin books. Got those in hardback and I've read the first one. They're fantastic, really good, really underrated, and in need of a new audience, I think, Asterix and Tintin. These 60s penguins are just great, aren't they? Fantastic. So yes, we got more RG350 videos, PlayStation Portable, PlayStation Vita videos. Got the Star Treks, got my monthly pickups. Still working our way through the Pan collection, so I'm on the Pan Giants at the moment, and then we'll move on to the Pan Majors, I believe, the M's. So I'm trying to do a Pan and a Penguin video once a month if I can. I haven't done, it was a month or two ago I did the Ernest Hemingway in vintage paperback. I'm just about ready to do another one, and I'm thinking it might be George Simenon. Although I definitely haven't got them all, or maybe John Dixon Carr, but it's going to be one of those, I think, looking at them in detail in vintage paperback. I think that'd be quite good fun. Oh, this was a real fun. This is a real highlight this month, amongst many highlights. This is an original mid-70s Pan Books bookmark. Now, Pan Ghost and Horror Stories. So we'll have a look at that, but they published about 3 of these, I believe, but that's an original one, which is fantastic, so I was delighted to get it. That was really, really nice. That I picked up a few more Star Trek annuals, so I only need 2 for the set now, and I need to upgrade 1. So the 2 that I need for the set are 1973 and 1974. And although they're readily available on eBay for, you know, 4, 5, 6 quid a pop, I haven't found nice copies, whereas the bulk of my Star Trek annuals are really nice nick. And but once I've got those 2, and I'm after a better copy of The Wrath of Khan, then I'm going to do a video on the Star Trek annuals, because I think they're fantastic. They are a real mixture of stuff, but predominantly they're gold key comic reprints from the States. But I had them as a kid and loved them. Definitely had that one, the 78 one. So I've got that planned. Also getting the last few Giles annuals. This is just a facsimile, but of the regular annual run, I'm just 1 short. And then there's just a couple of odd spin-offs that I'd like to get, and then I'll be ready to film my 3rd Giles annual video, and I've got a 4th one planned as well of like related memorabilia, and that'll be them done. I've got a video planned on Winston Churchill's The Second World War, how it came to be written, and looking at the first editions and like a special presentation edition of the Second World War, which is a fantastic set of 6 books. I have already covered the First World War. So quite a bit planned. That's sort of the immediate videos that I've got lined up, and hopefully that's a nice, interesting mix of stuff for people. I'm going to be doing another emulator guide, because if you look at my channel, the videos that have got the absolute top views are how to run certain emulators on your mobile phone. They're like how-to videos, and that's the sort of thing that people search out for. They generally they're not like subscribers to the channel, but those videos get a lot of views. And if you look at my most popular videos, they're the ones. So there is a couple that I've never sort of covered in how-to guides, and a couple of them are due to be updated, so look out for them as well. So there we are. Look, so here is, look at that plastic book cover now. Absolutely, well, not mint, but it's pretty darn nice compared to how it was. And all I did was wash that in warm soapy water, get into all the little nooks and crevices inside, and give it a really good clean. And I just dried it out with a paper towel. And then this is how they would be designed, not for a book of this era, but one from the 50s. You would put it in one of these book sleeves, and it would just protect the paper covers a little bit better, like that. That's good. And they came in different colours. I've got a few different colours in my collection. The ones which came out in the 30s and 40s are more like, they're like hardbound cloth, and I've got a couple of examples of those as well. So I think it might be fun if I, maybe one Penguin video, I'll dig out some of this sort of related memorabilia, because I think it's really cool. Not the sort of stuff that you see all the time. Right, the moment you've all been waiting for. Well, maybe some of you. Time to brush the top edges with my trusty toothbrush. So initially I get a nice pinch, and I clean the bottom edge first here in this particular case, and the bottom edges don't usually have as much gunk on the front as the top edges, which these do, as you can see. So I've got the books right next to the microphone here, and I will zoom in a bit closer onto the actual rubbing, but you can see in some cases actual plumes of dust coming off. Just incredible. Thankfully these bigger books, because they're not that old, they didn't require a massive amount of cleaning. At least the Jules books didn't. I've been interested I didn't realise that the later Jules books actually were published in hardback. I think they're really nice. Not all of them, and the most recent one was a paperback edition, so I don't think they came out in both, but the hardback ones are really nice. Those are okay. They were a bit of a mixed bag, those facsimiles, but they were like a tenner for 4, which is cheap. But one of them was, the worst one was just a double, so I can just trade that one on. On these, once again, I'm just opening the front page so I can get my toothbrush in to do the top edge where it would have been stored upright, and a little layer of dust fallen on it over the last 45 years. This is the Marvel Comics adaptation, Marvel Grand Dreams, published in Britain. You have the added ability of adding in a few photographs from the movie as well. This was a real golden age, I think, for Marvel doing their adaptations. They did the Star Trek, and they did Dune, and they did Blade Runner, they did For Your Eyes Only, they did Octopussy, and of course the 3 Star Wars films. Dune was done as well. They're all fantastic. They're so good. And it was just before the advent that you could start rewatching these things on video, so they had that captive market there, and boy, I remember lapping it up. See quite a bit of dust floating off that one. So that's all the big books there. Do the digests. That Carter Dixon, I believe, dates from the early 40s. It's an American edition. And the Manhunt there from, I think, 1953, I think it started. Yeah, that big old Pillars of Wisdom. It's not the greatest of conditions, but it's one I'd never seen before. And early Penguin Modern Classics are definitely worth picking up, whatever they are, because they're sought after. There's lots of people who just collect the Penguin Modern Classics, because the titles that were selected for the Modern Classics are generally really good titles. It's as simple as that, and the editions are so nice. Some of them have got notes in and that. I think they're beautiful. Here's another nice batch. Spotted a little bit of grit or something in that, in the bottom of that one. Yeah, as it stands at the moment, I'm able to keep on top of the videos, and I'm finding enough stuff to, to film to keep it interesting. There is some of the stuff I'd like to go into eventually. One thing that actually shocked me this week. I'm sure some of you are aware that I used to do extra acting. So I used to be a supporting artist in the UK. I'm a member of Equity. although I haven't done a lot for many years now. For like, I don't know, 7-8 years I haven't done anything. I used to do quite a bit back in the day. I would do 4 or 5 productions a year and do some Amdram as well. And one of the programs I was in was Doctor Who. This was filmed back in 2005. And I was in Rise of the Cybermen. I played the Cyberman. I played the photographer at the party that the Cybermen gate crash. I don't know if you remember that famous scene where they smash their way through the windows. Now, in that episode, it was an early David Tennant and Billy Piper and, of course, Noel Clarke. And he's been all over the news recently because he's had these women come up saying they've been, behaving inappropriately on set. Now, on the days when I was filming my Doctor Who, although Noel Clarke was in the story, I didn't have any scenes with him, and I didn't see him once. I saw everybody else: David Tennant, Billy Piper, Camilla Corduroy, all the main cast, with the exception of him, because he just wasn't in any of the scenes I was in. He wasn't in any of the scenes that I was in at the house, so I never got to see him. And I've got no sort of first-hand evidence, but the stories coming out are quite incredible. Also, around that time, they're mentioning about John Barrowman's antics on Doctor Who and Torchwood, and I had a couple of friends who were on Torchwood when Barrowman was in it, and they said he really was sort of goosing around, and even they saw him get his ass out at one point. So there you go. I don't know. I guess that's just what it was like on the set. But what I saw, absolutely not. It was super professional. They were up against a tight time limit, and compared to some of the sets I've been on over the years, the Doctor Who one was, as I said, it was really, really professional. So I didn't see any sort of horseplay at all. Maybe because when I was doing mine, it was the filming was going on very late into the night, and people just wanted to get it done so they could get home. So I found that really interesting, and the revelations, well, been quite a shocker this week, to be honest. But certainly, I was all set to do a video on my extra work, including the Doctor Who stuff and a few films I've been in. But they that's put a damper on it now. I don't know what to do. I don't want it to be controversial. But as I said, I never actually got to see Noel Clarke in the flesh, so I never saw any misdoings or wrongdoings. Certainly, Billy Piper was going through a hell of a time at the time I was doing my Doctor Who, and she was in the press, and she was in the news about her split with Chris Evans, and she was really friendly. You wouldn't have known that she was on the front pages of the tabloids that weekend. I always remember giving Wendy, and I was on the phone to Wendy at the time, saying time to say goodnight, because it was like 11 o'clock, and the coffee machine had broken down where I was at, and Billy Piper came through and said, "Don't worry, I know how to fix it." And Wendy said, "Is that Billy Piper?" I said, "Yeah, she's literally standing right next to me." Which was really funny. But everyone was really nice. Everyone was so nice, including David Tennant and the directors and all the runners and everybody else. So they knew they were making something quite special back then. Anyway, perhaps I'll do a video about that at some point when I figured out how to put the clips in without getting my channel copyright slammed, which is the hard bit. I think I can put the clips in, but they can't. They maybe need to be sort of picture in picture with no dialogue, no sound, which I think would be enough. That would be enough. The problem is some of my early sort of TV stuff I haven't got digitally. I've only got it on video, so I need to sort of get those transferred somehow. Then I'll have them all. Anyway, that's another idea for a future video. Something else I've not done for a while is take stock of the current paperback scene, or collecting scene on Facebook. Sadly, on audio, well, we've still got the Six Gun Justice podcast, but as I said, Paperback Warrior's gone now. But there's a couple others that I've come across which might be a bit of fun and might be of interest to viewers. which I think would be quite good to look into, and other channels that I've been watching which have got some paperback content. So I'll do another online resources and latest publications video quite soon. There's been a handful of new fanzines published by Justin Marriott of the Paperback Fanatic imprint. So yeah, there's a bit to cover in that regard. Here's those 3 investigators, and don't forget you can always leave a comment below. What sort of stuff would you like to see me do? Maybe you've seen something on the channel that you'd like me to cover in a lot more detail, like I am at the moment with the Star Trek books, because I think I've done a lot of my book collection. I have covered. I've done it now, you know, but there is still a lot that I've not covered in detail. So you've seen it, you've seen what I've got, but I've not pulled it out and actually gone through it in perhaps as much detail as you might like. So if there is stuff like that, just just give me a shout. Other things, I think I did them so long ago, over a couple of years ago, and the quality of the videos is much better now, that I think I can probably do a better job. And maybe I've upgraded some copies since I did those videos and filled in a few more blanks. So once again, if that's the case, drop a thing and say, what would you like to see in a bit more detail, and I'll see if I can come up with something. Definitely I've got some Star Wars videos on the horizon. So the last one pretty much was back in Christmas when I put my vintage carded figures out on the purpose-built display area. But what I've had to do is unpack my display case with my loose set, and because we had the building work done, I didn't want them out really, because they were just going to get even worse, dusty and that. So they were out on display. They've been in that position where I've had them for about 15 years, and some of the figures have ended up getting a bit sun yellowed. So what I want to do is go through my original figures and work out which ones I'd like to get replaced, because I've got the weapons, it's just, which can be half the battle, and I want to replace the actual action figures. So that's what I'm planning to do there. So that's going to be a whole series of videos, and it might be quite fun to see how I get on tracking down some of those vids. Doing the last look at the dirt that's come off those books. Incredible. This is the last step of the process where I give the books one final polish, but I think it's a satisfying bit of the process, because it's like the last bit, and also you get to see the fruits of your labour. They're all really nice and clean inside, as best you can make them. It's a chance to get off any last bits of invisible dirt and grime and fingerprint marks that might be on the books. The other thing I've been meaning to do for ages, and I mean ages, and I just, for some reason, I've just not got around to doing it, is a live stream. So I know people want me to do them, and it's definitely on the agenda, just to let you know. So live stream is going to be happening. I just need to sort of find the right thing. So I think what would be best, because I've got a bit of a splintered audience in the fact that there's some people who just like the toys, and there's other people who are really into the book content, and then I've got a percentage who love the gaming videos. I think what I really need to do is do a themed live stream. So I think because I've been doing so many book videos lately, that would probably be a good one to do, because that audience is there. So I might just do an impromptu, or with a few days notice, live stream talking books. Let's talk vintage paperbacks or something like that, and we'll just take it from there. We'll just see how it goes. Might be a bit of fun. So here we are, we're homing in on the hour-long mark. If you've been with me since the start, well done. Well done. I know people watch these videos to fall asleep. So if that's you, hope you had a good night's sleep. Try again tomorrow to work your way to the end. I myself, if I'm watching videos, you know, YouTube's got that autoplay function. If I'm in bed or something, I've got something on my phone and I'd stick on a video, it puts on similar videos. And I'll suddenly wake up in the middle of the night and it's on something that, from somebody I don't even know, about a subject that I'm not really interested in. I think, how on earth did YouTube get to this subject, you know? I'm sure that must happen with some of my videos. Here we are then. So just giving the old Manhunt magazine a little buffing. There was a tiny, on one of the L's of splaying, there was a tiny little line. It almost looked like a slither of glue or something had dropped on it, and I went into it, I delicately cleaned it, and I actually think it was part of like the glue that's used to bind the magazine together. So it was like a tiny little printing error. So nothing to worry about. You can't even see it hardly. But it was there. You could just sort of see it in the light. So I had a go, and it's you know, I didn't want to rip the cover or anything, so I just gave up in the end. But I just see it was the tiniest little bit of glue. But that one will look great once it's been bagged up and give it a bit of protection. When you think the age of it now, you know, almost 70 years old. If you've never read any Manhunt, boy oh boy, that's a magazine and a half. The best of anthologies, they're highly recommended. There's so many stories in there that will literally leave you like gasping. They're that like shocking, you know. So my Patreons have been extremely good of late. I'm getting lots of feedback from them. They give me video idea suggestions. They're not as critical as some average YouTubers. They're quite forgiving because they like the content, and I really do appreciate the support. If you ever want to come along and join the Patreon, because you know I can have a channel now. I could have channel memberships, which would work very similar in that you'd be able to get, or I could do like exclusive videos or early access videos, which is what my patrons get. I could offer on-screen credits, which once again my patrons get, but at the moment I think Patreon's the way to go. There is an experiment, and I've come across the odd channel on YouTube where you can have like a show your appreciation button, and you can actually just there and then, if there's a video that you really like, you can just tip the creator like $1, $3, $5, or anything you like, really. And I think that's fantastic. So the sooner that gets rolled out, the better, because some of my tutorial videos, they get a lot of views and people are so thankful when I've been able to help them. And I generally try to reply to all the comments that I put on my channel, good or bad. If it's obvious spam, or if it's you know, someone effing and blinding and swearing, well, they get deleted and blocked. That's a few books getting polished up now. This one was really nice. This very unusual 60s penguin sci-fi. Great cover. And another example of a black covered book which has remained remarkably unscathed. Looks unread to me. Brilliant. So yeah, just about coming towards the end now of the of this month's pickups, and I think you'll agree it was a pretty good bunch. Really amazing amount of books. Since I wanted to get all these processed, I've not really even been looking for new stuff. This week that I've got off, me and the wife are looking to probably go down to possibly Truro, if we can fit it in one day, if the weather's nice. We'll take the dog with us, and there are a few little bookshops in Truro. Nothing outstanding second-hand wise, but they do exist. So we'll have a look around there, and I'll do another little vlog, because the ones I did for Plymouth and Hornsey have gone down really well. People love it, and I'll check all the little charity shops and stuff out as well if I can. Another thing I'd certainly like to do, if it happens soon, and that's start going back to doing the boot sales. That would be another really good thing to do. I certainly count myself lucky in getting all those late 60s penguins. That was particularly good. I was having a good old chat with the bookseller in High Street Books in Honiton, and he was a really nice guy, and he said that someone had come in with a huge collection of 60s penguins, and he and the bookshop, which was shut at the bottom of the Honiton High Street, which sadly I couldn't go in, but I've had good penguins off him before. In fact, when I drove by once, he had a window full of vintage penguins, and I had to I pulled over and immediately went in, and wow, I was like, wow, because I was on my way somewhere, because you can go to Honiton as a through town on the way to other areas. But yeah, it was a real shame that he was shut, because I guess it's my own fault, but when I looked on Google, it said that he was open and it was normal shop hours, so I didn't think there was any sort of problem. But both the two main bookshops in Honiton are shut Sunday and Monday. That's like their weekend, because Saturday I guess they're super busy. But the vlogs have gone down very well, and as I said, I'd like to do some more of those, and I will definitely do some, if I do go out sort of boot sailing or jumble sailing. I'll record what I find as well, although I'm not optimistic that I'll find much at the jumble sales, but you never know, you never do know. And obviously if I can get to any toy fairs, that'd be fantastic. That really would be superb, but they're sort of few and far between at the moment. There's a nice big thick pan. So the process that you don't see once I finish cleaning these is I put them into publisher order, and things that I'm collecting and keeping a track of, like the Charles books, the James Bond, my Penguin, my Pan books, I put them all into order, and then I go through my checklist, and I check off the ones that were on there that I needed, and others I put to one side because I know they're just going to be upgrades or potential upgrades that I just need to check against the ones in my own collection. And then because I record them onto a Google Drive, when I'm out and about, I just fire up my phone and I can see instantly if it's a book I've got. So all these penguins and all the pans that were picked up while I was away, I knew that I didn't have because I checked it before I paid for them, which is perfect. In the old days, in the days of the 80s and 90s collecting comic books, you see people go around with big wants lists and bits of paper and little booklets, notepads with their different series on, and they were crossing them off as they got them. I certainly remember doing that back in the 80s. Giving Capricorn one last wipe. Yeah. Really nice film tie in that. It was just a shame about that sticker, but I don't think it's come up too bad, all things considered. So my pickups for next month are very, very minimal at the moment. I haven't got any. I've got a few little bits and bobs on the way, but nothing substantial at the moment. So this video, the fact that it's an hour and 20, this may have to suffice for 2 months. I may have a gap month. It just depends how I get on down in Truro. If I get lucky and find a little lot. Also, I have another little collection of some sci-fi, which I'm possibly going to be picking up. So I'll let you know about that, because that may be the entire next month's pickup. Will be this other collection that I've been speaking to a chap about, possibly picking up. So we'll see on that one. These big thick hardbacks have been lovely to clean up, come up beautiful. I'm Spartacus. Really nice film tie in that. Obviously some of these very early Penguin books aren't going to need cleaning at all, because they've got the old sort of paper covers which you can't touch with polish. But the later ones are absolutely fine. They've got glossy covers like a more modern book, so they can be cleaned. A few of the paperbacks being done now, and on the whole these have cleaned up really, really nicely. Always quite a relaxing, therapeutic job to spend an hour or two, because this probably took about 2 hours, and I've shrunk it down to an hour and 20 from start to finish to get all the books cleaned. But it's something, as I said, I do once a month or so, just to stay on top of it, and also to keep a track of what I'm trying to get. As I said, there's a few videos I'd love to make if I could just get the last couple of books in the series. The Edge books, for example, I need just one. I'll get it eventually. Now this pelican here had been from the collection of a smoker, and you'll have a look at the rag in a minute. It's got that classic, look at that, look at the dirt that came off. You couldn't tell just looking at it. So I found a clean bit of cloth. I spray on some new Mr. Sheen, but the dirt that came off that spine in particular, where the nicotine had soaked into it, was awful. But thankfully, because it's a mid-60s title with a nice glossy cover, all that dirt and grime came off. And you just see that, you know, in these older books. You know, people smoked a lot more back then. And in the ones earlier to that, the 30s and 40s, when people had open coal fires, the soot would mark up the sides of books. So that's all the paperbacks done. Now I've just got these few glossy Star Trek annuals to do, and because they are really glossy, they come up very easily. Any sort of marks and imperfections come off without me needing to do too much work, just really running it over, and they come up really nice. This one had a real mark on the spine there, but it came off just with a very light rub of the old duster. I look forward to looking at the British annuals in a bit more detail, because I think it's a great set to get, and they are certainly a bit of fun. Some great artwork on them, but it is a bit hit or miss. They're not all that good. That's a particularly good one, but they're not all like that. Here's the Marvel annual for the motion picture. So I think, you know, in summary, it has been a really good month for book pickups, and I don't expect the same next month, but you never know what's around the corner. You never know. But I do hope you have enjoyed looking through the most recent purchases and the process cleaning them. And I know people have taken my techniques, my little process for doing it, and done it on their own books, and seeing a lot of success, seeing them come to life, and that's brilliant. So if that's the case for yourself, just leave some feedback in the description down below. You could also really do me a favour, if you've enjoyed these videos, and any of my videos, in fact, it's just to retweet them out or share them on your Facebook feeds or in your social media, on Instagram, places like that. It does grow the channel. It gets the word out to a bigger audience, and that's what it's all about, I think, really, is let's try and grow it out there, get all the views up, and make the videos even better. I definitely want to do get some slightly better equipment going forward. So here we are. These new books, they need next to nothing, which was fantastic. These recent Jules books, just like an odd fingerprint mark where it had been read on Christmas Day, and that'd be about it. But yeah, what a haul. It's last year's one. Yeah, great stuff. So there we are, one last look at the goodies. So if you have enjoyed today's video, then do please give it that thumbs up. Do please consider subscribing if you've not already for regular vintage paperback content. I really do hope you've enjoyed today's cleaning video, and I shall look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.